Welcome to Voices of Hope. I'm your host, Omar Kenyatta Clark, and this is a brave space. A space where vulnerability meets courage and where real stories of resilience come to life. Each episode will bring you powerful conversations with people who face some of life's hardest challenges and turn them into sources of strength. We believe each story has power to heal, to inspire, and to remind us that we're never alone in this journey. Whether you're seeking hope, looking for inspiration, or simply need to know someone else has walked through fire and made it out, this is your space. A place where we rise together, a place where we grow, and a place where each story shared adds to the light in the world. So join us as we continue to grow, heal, and rise. Welcome. I'm Omar Kenyatta Clark, and this is Voices of Hope. Today we have two special guests, and they are both veterans. We have Matt Hart. He was born in Florida, but now resides in Long Island. He's a husband and a girl dad. He was Army active and stationed on the West Coast, Washington State, Fort Lewis for 3 years. Thank you for your service, Matt. Mm-hmm. And he currently now works for Social Security Administration. We also have Noel Vargas, raised in Long Island, New York, lives in Long Island, New York. He served in the Army active duty, then the Navy Reserve. He deployed with the Marines in Afghanistan. He is currently a high school social studies teacher, officially tenured, so he can say whatever he wants. He's married with 2 fur babies, and he's been my best friend for about 7 to 8 years. And he supported me through my darkest times.
I think your might be off, though. I think it's more like a decade.
Is it that much? Yeah. That long now?
Because I graduated St. Joe's in 2016. And
yeah, we met in 2016,
too already, so it's almost a decade.
It's 2025 now, so almost a decade, pretty much. Yeah, it's still going strong. So thank you both for joining this podcast.
Yeah, and thank you for having us here.
So today we're going to be talking, since we have veterans, we're going to be talking about the military and veterans health, veterans mental health, things along those lines. Yeah, you guys ready to dive into some questions?
Sure. Where do you want to start?
All right. So the first question I have for you guys: what were some challenges during your time in the military, and how did you overcome them?
I know personally my biggest challenge right out the gate, right, was like just being able to assimilate back into the civilian world, because it's a whole nother thing, like how you go to another country and the culture is completely different and the values are completely different. It's the same thing with the military. The military is its own country, its own culture, and the things that people do within it, make us who we are. But it does not fit into the civilian world 9 times out of 10.
Do you mind sharing a little bit about that culture that you're talking about? Just give us the idea of what that means.
You might as well just call it what it is, technically. Because when you sign that dotted line, I'm just going to give you a little hard fact here. Pretty much, your freedom's done.
Okay.
I'm just going to call it what it is. Technically, because if you're looking at the civilian sector towards the military sector, you see what today's people are like, oh, well, I wouldn't do that, or I wouldn't do that. And I was like, yeah, if I don't do that, I'm getting thrown in jail. If I don't show up to go to work, I'm thrown in jail. So, this is
so very rigid, very rigid. You do what you're told, kind of follow an order. That kind of like what you guys are trying to say.
And a lot of times you end up feeling like a little lost because when you get back to the civilian world, people do what they feel at the time they feel it. But for military people and for people who have PTSD and mental health, that structure is so important. It's what keeps gives you the ability to compartmentalize what issues are serious issues that you have to worry about, and which ones you're okay, I can take that, put it in the box, deal with it later. And, in the civilian world, it's everything's oh my God, I'm having the worst day ever. They made my latte wrong. And meanwhile, when I was in Afghanistan, when I was working with the Seabees and I'm like building a tin shack and I'm sitting on a roof that's over an OP and like a truck is firing 50 caliber rounds over the fucking barrier. And I'm just like, well, I still got to build this roof, even though it's like bullets flying over me.
Man, so how are you able to do that? There's bullets flying everywhere, and now you're banging on the roof. How do you even do that?
Again, like I said, it's just the military trains you to put in a box. You deal with that when you get to that, one problem at a time. Deal with, you can control the things that you can, not worry about the things that you can't so much. And again, like, that's in the civilian world, it's a whole nother. People worry about like everything that's happening everywhere all at once. And, a lot of times I'm just like, you relax. Or for myself, it's just like, I need to have my structure. And if I don't have my structure, then that starts like causing problems. But then how civilians look at you is like, well, like you're a jerk or you're weird or something, like you are not normal. You in a bad context.
I don't think you're weird, man.
Well, no, because obviously there's something weird about you if you're my friend. No, but people.
Fair enough. Fair.
They just like, they make those snap judgments. And it's usually, when you make a judgment, it's usually not in the good direction. It's always in like a negative direction. And that's what I meant by like, it's really hard to transition into civilian, because then you have to deal with that like right away. People are like almost discriminatory against you because of you, I guess, trying to just be professional or trying to be in control of what you can control. And it's a whole nother mindset that they're not used to. And then it ends up like impacting you negatively.
Okay. So like this, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're saying like part of the issue with coming home is the part of that, you're going from this one extreme of being structured to having no structure at all, being able to do whatever you want to do. And then another part of it's like the people you're interacting with in the general public is like, they don't understand that.
Yeah.
And they kind of discriminate in the way.
Yeah, and it's always never like, no one approaches anybody with a mindset of understanding. It's like, oh, that's different. I don't like that. As opposed to like, oh, okay, I kind of see where you're coming from, or I'm trying to see where you're coming from. And that's usually the biggest part. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. How about you, Matt? So the question, what are some challenges during your time in the military and how did you overcome them?
Well, military is all about, and if we go back to the thing, like I know I said, when you sign it over, we're going to military and civilian sector. But initially, when you first get into the military, it's changing because they mold you.
Okay, yeah, tell us about that.
They have to mold you in what you have to be. So, I know we'll kind of let off that topic where initially, we have to prioritize. That's pretty much where it is. Listen, where he talked about his personal experience, where if I whatever's going on around me, I still need to get the mission done. I have to go if I'm going to point A to point B, I have to make it to point B. Doesn't matter how I get there. If I have to go back 10 feet from point A to go around to get to point B, I have to do that. So no matter what, we have to be adaptable to get the job done. It still needs to get done. There's no like, I'll do it tomorrow or I'll deal with it another day. You got to do it. You got to do it. There's no second to be like, there's no breath. You go. You have to accomplish the task that is ahead of you initially. And then when you change back and you reorganize that and it's not there no more. So you come back, but hey, listen, let's just, pick a random store. I'll say quarter store, but let's say Walmart. Everybody knows Walmart. Wally's World's around the world, right?
Yeah.
So initially, you're like, all right, listen, I got to go there. Okay. I got to buy something. And everybody's like, oh, I'll make a shopping list. People like, you don't need a list. I was like, I'm make a list. I need to go there, get that. I got to go back home. I got to do this. I do that. I'm already 10 steps ahead of what I got to accomplish because that was my goal of the day.
Yeah, there's so much going on and your like anxiety levels really kick in. But I know like me, I'm a person that suffers from a high functioning anxiety and my PTSD. And so everything is like, I have to have a plan. I have to have this done. And then I have a plan for my plan because every plan initially goes wrong. Like, right, everybody, who was it? Mike Tyson, everybody has a plan until you get punched in the face.
Right.
Yeah. Like you have a plan, but then the second it brings, okay, now I have another plan for that. And I have another. And your brain is constantly like trying to work around that.
Okay. Yeah. So when you're like in the military and you get your orders and you have to follow through with the order, right? And it doesn't matter what happens. You got to complete the order, right? So how were you guys able to like deal with that pressure? I feel like it's like a lot of pressure on you guys to be able to follow through with everything.
A lot of times you just have to view it as like, and then, when people like, thank me for your service, and, granted, people just saying now, it's like saying hi or like, bless you, just something you do. People don't, there's anything behind it anymore, really.
Yeah.
When you have a job, you just do your job. And that's how I always looked at it. I was like, I have to do my job. Granted, like, obviously there are certain things you can't do when you're in the military, and certain things you should say no to when you're in the military. And that's a podcast for another day, because I can go 100% political about this right now.
Of course.
But, you do your job and you do your best to get it done. And you just got to look at it like, this is my job. This is what I have to do.
Okay.
That's how I dealt with it anyway.
Yeah. So, like, what were some lessons that you guys learned from your time in the military?
Keep it short, stupid.
Yeah,
keep it short, stupid.
Keep everything simple.
Okay.
If you're giving direction, like I'm a teacher, so like a lot of my stuff is like I have to break it down for the lowest functioning kid in the class, so that everyone understands all directions. And while some people were like, "Well, that's really simple," right? So I was like, "Well, no, not everybody knows to do these things. Keep everything simple in life. Don't overcomplicate things if you don't have to." There's a lot, It's tough, and in fact, it's not just, it doesn't just affect us; it affects a lot of soldiers who get out now. As a teacher, I told you, I brought up, I have a whole bunch of numbers like in stats that I can spew all over the place about like stuff like that. But they were saying like almost half of post 9/11 veterans who come back have a really hard time adjusting to civilian life. And as for the older veterans, the older generations, like who come before post 9/11, it's only about 25%. So that shows you that civilian life has significantly changed over time, and it's getting more and more difficult for the newer and newer veterans. And that's why I guess we're here talking about it, just to make people understand that like it's really hard just to re-enter life, and veterans should be given that kind of grace for people to understand that like we get you're coming from a whole nother world that we will never understand because we did not go through it. As a whole different thing. But do your job. That's how we came out of it. Do your job.
This is just, we can reiterate this, go back and forth a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's the bitter, like, sweet thing of it. Like, initially is, coming back it's two extremes. That's the only way to go about it. There's no gray area here. Like when people say it's black and white, black and white. You know what I'm saying? If you don't have someone to come back to you or to like bring you back to have that pull. So that's why, when you see people in it or veterans or any of that nature, you flock with your group because they would understand it. They would understand what you've been through. They understand what's going on in your headspace. You were talking about pressures, back then it was pressure, but you didn't think of it. You just like, I just got to get the job done.
And then also it just helps to find a purpose. That's the other thing that really helps us is like find a purpose, because it's really hard because now you have to create a new identity. Like this is Noel before the military. This is Noel in the military. Now I have to discover who Noel is out of the military, but with now all of that culture behind me. And, it's about just navigating a new idea, finding belonging, Matt was mentioning.
Yeah.
Because the society doesn't necessarily understand ours.
Yeah. So how were you guys able to build that new identity, after coming back home?
Now I'm gonna call him Buck. I have my daughter.
You have your daughter. Okay, tell me, like, how your daughter, like having a daughter
that
help you?
Extreme purpose there.
You
know
what
I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. That's the driving force behind that.
Being there for your daughter, providing for her, things like that.
When because my stint in the service was a lot shorter than my colleagues over there.
Yeah.
But initially, because, I got hurt. So, and then after that, I was med boarded. So I was medically released from the Army. So when that happened, I was like, what am I going to do? And she was literally a newborn. She was born when I got out. She was 3 to 4 months.
Yeah.
And incoming there, doesn't matter. I got to make something happen. You know what I'm saying? So giving you that purpose, that drive to push you forward. It didn't matter if I was working. I would have been the best McDonald's, fry cook, you call it. I had to do what I had to do. The purpose that drove me was my daughter. And it helped me come back from a lot of stuff. So I didn't have to deal with, because even if somebody walked by and been like, hey, how you doing? I was like, get out my face. Like, I'm not.
Yeah.
Whatever you're thinking, whatever you're doing, you don't affect me. You don't affect my life. You don't affect me, my wife, my daughter. If you don't directly affect them, I don't need to protect them, and I can just move forward. So if you don't like the way I'm looking, you don't like the way I'm dressing, you don't like the way I'm talking, that's fine. You don't pay my bills.
Right.
So you reorganize yourself to focus on that. And I was hitting on it. You just got to find purpose. That was like my tribe. That was my purpose, to find and help me find meaning. So when you're talking about like refinding yourself, because I know high school Matt was not planning to go to the military at all. At all.
Well, that's all I ever wanted to do.
So, but for me, what I realized is, college and stuff, my brother went to the service, got his GD, he went to the service. And then what I realized is I can because coming from a low middle class background, initially finding out certain things that could be an alternative to get you your goal. So like, you've already have that mindset. You can accomplish this. So I was like, all right, I'll join the military, and then I'll get my schooling through the military. If I stay in the military, I can make that a full-blown career. No problem. So too easy for me.
Yeah.
Of course, plans change. You never know which life is going to take you. But initially, finding that purpose after it. So my purpose and drive at the beginning was, hey, I want to go to school. Oh, I have to do it this way. Got hurt. Okay, what I'm going to do after that? Oh, I had my daughter. Okay. After that, I was like, all right, how can I take care of my daughter? I got to step up. I have to level myself up. And with doing that, it was like, I got to finish college. I got to get my degree to go somewhere there. Because back when degrees meant something back then.
Just to bring Noel in, just to bring you in, Noel. So Matt, he said, it was his daughter that gave him purpose, to help him build himself back up and his identity for post, military duty. You don't have a daughter. How did you build your purpose and identity?
For me, it was establishing my identity and like proving that I wasn't like a failure. And not because I left the military feeling a failure. It's like after I left the military didn't leave me with much. Like my job was not translatable. In the Army, it was Patriot missile launcher operator and maintainer. You can't get a job in the civilian world with that. That's something that they didn't tell me about. So I had to, basically use it. And people were like, oh, why don't you use a GI Bill? At that time, the GI Bill wasn't really offering much. And the only reason why I went to college is because of my second deployment with the Navy, and then I was able to get the post 9/11 bill, which actually paid for all of my school. Like I got out of school with my bachelor's debt free. Like I didn't have to, but it was about figuring out who I was and being successful, because I saw like the people that I hung out with, and yeah, we were friends in high school, but like your high school friends usually aren't your friends when you're older. Like you all grow out of each other, and hopefully it's that you've grown into becoming more mature people. And I kind of just saw my friends were like stagnating. They were perfectly comfortable with like working at Target until the day they died. Like, I'm just going to stay here and eventually I'll get promoted up. And that's the case for a good handful of them. And like none of them really chased anything bigger than that. And I was like, I don't want that life. Like I want to live a life that I enjoy. When I work, I want to do something I enjoy. I want to be happy with my life, and, I want to be successful. So that's what basically got me moving in directions. Like I just had to find purpose
How'd you go about doing that, finding that?
Oh God, I did everything. Got out of the military, and I went with my friend. Like, my friends were great at the time. They were like, yeah, and I ended up working at Target doing like security.
Are these friends that were from the military, or were they friends?
My regular like high school friends, like civilian friends.
Yeah.
Like I literally only hang out with like one of them now, and that's very rarely. Otherwise, I outgrew them. But, we came in, I started working at like Target, and I was doing security at Target for a little while. So I was in retail. Then I ended up going to like Lord and Taylor and doing like personal sales rep. I was in retail for like a couple of years. Yeah. And then I was like, I hate this.
So you said something had to change.
This. Yeah. And so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just start going to college. And I had my post 9/11 bill and that was after I came back from Afghanistan, is when I was like, my second deployment, I was like, okay, I'm done. Like I'm coming back from another war where I like could have died again. And I'm like, I'm not going to work at the Gap. Like that's the American dream. No, it's not in any way, shape or form. So I was like, I'm just going to go to college. I have all this college money that they're giving me. I'm going to go for the one thing I really wanted to do before I joined the military. I always wanted to be a teacher. I loved it. I loved the idea of it, but I couldn't afford it. Like the majority of the U.S. military is made up of minorities. And most of us go into the military because we're trying to find an identity. We're trying to be successful. We're trying to show society that minorities belong in America because America was made up of minorities.
Exactly.
If immigration didn't happen ever. Sorry, we're going in another direction. I'm going to bring it back. Sorry, I'm a social studies teacher, so this is what I do. But, I needed to establish to myself that I was valid in the world, valid in society, and that I can contribute. And then I ended up took a part-time job, and then I went to college, and to use my bill to go to one of the best teaching colleges in New York State, and worked on it. Now I'm teaching. Now I'm living my version of American dream while I'm teaching.
Yeah, so sound like
13 years.
Yeah, wow, been that long.
Yeah,
that's wow, that's awesome.
I'm at 13.
Yeah, so it sounds like through your journey, you had to be very persistent.
Yeah, nothing was ever given to me. I had to push myself and take what I could and get what I needed myself. And that's the military helped me with that portion of it, where I'd learned that grit. Like in this day and age, most civilians be like, "Oh, that's rough," and I couldn't do that. And then it's like, yeah, you couldn't do that. And that's not me being cocky. That's me just looking at where you came from, looking where I came from, looking what you've done since then, looking what I've done since then. And I go, yeah, you couldn't have done that. You couldn't have pulled yourself up by your bootstraps, which I did, and made myself into something.
Yeah. Okay. So I just want to shift the conversation a little bit. I know we touched on it a little bit, but I want to go deeper into the mental health aspect of things. I know, Noel.
Numbers do you want to hear? I got a whole bunch.
Oh, you have numbers?
All kinds of numbers.
I'm glad you came prepared.
Teacher in me. That's the military in me.
Yeah, but before we get into the numbers, but just in general, like what's the military's view on mental health?
I would like to say they probably say it doesn't exist. It's mental toughness, not mental health. A lot of soldiers end up leaving because they can't handle things. And yes, that while there are certain avenues to get help, they're never really promoted or talked about, or, soldiers, this is my time in service now. I don't know if it's like that anymore now. I know that it has gotten a lot softer since I was in, when we were in.
So what year were you in?
I was in from 2000. I went right out of high school in 2002, military to 2005. I got out for a year and a half. Then I went back in 2007 to 2014.
Okay, so you finished the 2014.
Yeah.
Okay.
And during my time, it was like, well, you tough it out. Like literally, like have some aspirin, take some water, your brain will fix itself. Go. And that was kind of my experience with it, being in the military. And if there was more support, then there wouldn't be like, what is the number? Like every 46 out of every 100,000 veterans leave the military with a high suicide rate, thinking about suicide, talking about suicide.
Yeah, give us the numbers, man. Give us the numbers.
Right, so and all my stuff is backed. I don't just speak out of my butt. I make sure that I go and I look for my numbers. So the Department of Veterans Affairs says 6,407 veterans died by suicide in 2022. I know in my own unit there was 3 guys that died in the same year who committed suicide.
I'm sorry to hear that.
The size of a small high school graduating class, gone in 1 year.
Oh my goodness!
And behind every number, there's a name, there's a family, there's a story that didn't have to end that way. And then that goes back to the first year of service being so difficult. The RAND study found that within the first 12 months of leaving the military, suicide rate reaches about 46% per every 100,000 veterans.
That's for the first year that they
leave.
They leave the military, so they're back home at this point, and trying to reintegrate into civilian life.
Exactly.
Right?
Because
that's what's happening.
Floating in the air.
Yeah. So you're saying there's no support to help you guys get back into it.
A lot of people will just be like, "Oh, well, you have the VA." It's like the VA is the hardest thing to deal with. Yeah, put yourself on that waiting list.
So there's a long waiting list. So even if there are services,
and again,
it's going to take you forever to even get them. Is that what you're saying?
When I came out the first time, it was you get free health benefits for life. And then a couple of years later, it was like, you get free health benefits for the next 7 years. And then and then smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
And now we're not even talking about what the VA looks like now. VA now barely exists. Veterans are always put on the back burner, and there's been less and less support for veterans as time's gone on further and further. But if veterans get the help that they need, they'll be more successful. I have numbers for that too. Had difficulty to do. 32% of newer veterans struggle with a lack of structure compared to 6% older veterans. 1/3 is reported having trouble just paying their bills after separation because they don't know how to figure things out. Roughly 1 in 5 say they turn to alcohol or substance abuse to cope. 53% say reentry into civilian life is difficult. So over half of veterans say it's really hard to get back into the things that we're doing. And, but help really is successful. I have that as well. How well it impacts, if you want to turn it to MATLAB, look for.
Yeah, but okay. Yeah, but
you gotta scroll, man.
Man, he came with a whole bunch of numbers, man.
Like a 9-part dissertation here.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, the main thing about it is when people that transition period, when he gave you the year mark, So let's say someone just got out. Remember, we'll just keep it back because I was in service from the beginning of towards the end, I believe, of 2009 through 2013.
Yeah.
During that time, like even he said, here's a pill, you can get better in the morning. Wouldn't say, unless they forced you out for medical reasons, people just got out. And when they got out, it was underlined. So nothing was diagnosed. Yeah. Because nothing was diagnosed, nothing can be treated.
Yeah, you can't treat it if you don't, yeah.
You can't get the help. So if you don't have anything documented within the service, you have to prove it to the VA. Hey, listen, I'm hurt. This is what happened.
And that's what's messed up. You have to prove that traumatizing things that you were sent to do affected you. You have to prove it. It's not like, hey, we sent you out there. We asked you to do these things. We know it couldn't have been easy. Let's just take care of you. I have to prove to you that I'm having trouble.
So otherwise, they wouldn't help you.
They don't help you.
They wouldn't help you.
Think about that. Just to prove yourself, you got to do this. You go back. You got to get rating exports from your you said unit. Let's just, how about use civilians, co-workers. But initially, your unit or your service members, hey, listen, we went there. We were stationed over there. You saw what down there. Can you write to tell them what's going on?
Oh, so you got to go to your unit.
You literally got to get people to back up your claims to show to the VA that something was wrong. And then still got to get evaluated.
That's crazy.
But you're still on a waiting list.
So are you serious?
Takes a year.
Right?
What? And that's what person. Let's say within the week. Let's say on a good ample person. So somebody who knows something's wrong with them, which is give or take. I will say vets will push it down and find other ways to cope, which you've already discussed already. But find other resources. Happens to be substances or alcohol. That's the cold turn to. Why think about it if I could drown it out?
Yeah.
Okay. But let's say someone's like, you know what? Something's wrong with me. I'm gonna get out. All right. I'm going to call the VA. Okay, we'll schedule an appointment 6 months out. Okay, then you're like, all right, so you get an appointment and they don't really know, oh, something's wrong, but we need a little more information. Fill out this paperwork and then also send it in. So now, during this whole 6-month stint, you have to, not only do you not to want to think about it, it's going to force you to think about it. You got to have to write down how it affected you mentally or whatever the case. Then you got to present your documentation. Then you got to get evaluated. Because everything's percentages now. They have to give you a percentage.
Oh, percentage of disability?
Well, yeah, just to get coverage.
Right.
Just because if you can't afford it, the VA, if you can't afford it, we will provide it with you as long as it's documented you have an issue.
But you got to prove it.
You can get a 0% on 5,000 things that are wrong with you. But if it's a 0%, that means something happened in the service and they're aware that something did happen. So you can possibly get looked at and checked for it. Free of charge.
So what do you guys think needs to change with the system? Like, what change would you like to see?
At the end of the day, it all starts with society and the people. Before you can fix anything in the government, it's the people. And people in society need to truly appreciate what veterans do so that they can vote and make changes for the people who will support veterans and make sure they're trying to create spaces for veterans. Because like I said earlier, people just say thank you for your service, like I say, God bless you. It's just something you do. You don't think about it. You just do, oh, veteran, thank you for your service, moving on. Like, that doesn't mean anything to anybody. And in order for things to change, people have to it has to be more than a TikTok or Instagram trend. Like COVID with nurses and COVID with teachers, nobody gives a shit about them anymore. But during those particular times, everybody's like, yay, let's go nurses. Same thing with the military, right? When we were overseas and for 20 years doing the war on terror, like how you fight a war against an idea, I don't know, but we did it for 20 years. And people would start out like, support the troops. And then it just became like, thank you for your service eventually. And it starts with the people, and the people in society has to value what soldiers truly do in more than just saying, I value what they do.
So like on an individual level, what can we do as people to make these changes?
Well, partially you're doing it right now with just making sure that there's awareness of it, that there does need to be change talking about it, getting people talking about it. People don't like talking about politics or policy or whatever, but the longer you don't talk about things, the worse that they get. It's the same thing with therapy, right? If you keep things bottled up inside, eventually it explodes. It's the same thing with society and politics and everything. Things have to be talked about. People individually have to make the actual effort to try and make it a part of the everyday culture that, hey, this is what we do. We take care of soldiers. We take care of sailors. We take care of just people in general.
Well, when you think about it, just awareness and recognition.
Awareness and recognition.
Yeah, no one's always, a pat on the back, like you said, it's like, yeah, thank you for your service. Sometimes, okay.
Yeah, that doesn't help me get my
but the
treatments.
They're aware that's something that needs to be done. Okay. But recognition means now let's implement a change for it. Hypothetically, the changes, maybe there should be like I don't know. But then again, it's how policy and laws should be changed.
They're literally intertwined together. Veterans, taking care of your veterans and mental health and all stuff is directly tied to your politics and who you vote for. You can't tear it apart.
The main thing here, I think because no matter what, everyone gets evaluated before they get kicked out. You know what I'm saying? What? Let go. In a nice place. Because, you're done. You don't sign the paper. You're pretty much, that's it. They're like, nice, thank you. 15 years, good luck. That's it. Whatever you do, that's it. It's good luck. But there is an outboarding process. There is an outboarding process that you go through. Maybe a week or two where you go see Dr. So-and-so for your feet. That for your nose, for your ears, for your eyes, to make sure everything's good. They need the extensive, hey, so you
it needs to be more extensive. Yeah, because a lot of that stuff pops up later on in life. When you're getting out processed, a lot of stuff hasn't come to the surface just yet because you're still involved in your culture of being in the military. It's when your culture starts banging up against another culture is where you start realizing how much you've actually changed, and that could really mess with your whole psyche.
Yeah, so dealing with that, your psyche and stuff, how are you able to cope with that? What have you guys done?
Me, I stick to the structure.
Okay.
And that stuff is structure, and it really helps me balance out. The thing, like I said, that I suffer most from is high anxiety. So I have to know when to dial it back, which is why there are days where part of my structure is I don't do anything today. Like Saturday or Sunday, I just play video games. I don't do anything that day because that gives me a day to just not think about or put everything together to get off of my constant hamster wheel of, did this get done? Am I going to do this next? And then, so for me, it's just having a day of just making planning in a space of not doing anything.
Sometimes okay to do nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but the thing is, you have to really know yourself. So how do you come to that place where you're able to know yourself, where you need that? How were you able to get to that point?
Oh, well, you gotta look for help. You gotta get help. And that's and help works. If you go and you look for help and you get treatment, it works, which now brings me back to, I found my numbers about how successful treatment is. Basically, for an example, people who get CBT, cognitive
behavioral therapy,
or was PE, CBT, PE. I have it written down. I was like, oh, that's what it's called? Cognitive processing therapy and prolonged exposure therapy. Reduce their suicide risk by nearly a quarter. So about 23%, their suicide risk goes down. And one study, PTSD.
That's a big chunk.
Yeah. In one study, PTSD symptoms dropped by 42% after PE, and depression by 31%. Among veterans with both PTSD and alcohol misuse, 1 in every 3 were in remission after 6 months of PE versus 1 in 7 in a comparative group that did not receive PE.
That's a big difference.
Yes, it's freaking gigantic. Even non-traditional support such as service dogs delivered dramatic results, 66% lower their odds of PTSD diagnosis. You know, it's not like little changes, it's big changes.
So these things actually work.
Yeah.
The numbers show that these treatments work.
And then the other problem why people don't get help is, one, you're in the military, right? So it's that whole idea of like toxic masculinity, but it's also society looking at you and being like, you're a guy, deal with it.
Tough it out.
And then when you're a minority on top of that, now you're in your minority communities where like saying the word therapy is like a 4-letter word.
We got time for that.
Exactly. It's like you don't got time. And then the other part is, if you live in a low income community and you're having trouble and you're struggling, you literally don't have time for it because you're working 2-3 jobs and you're door dashing just to make ends meet for your family or for yourself or whatever the case is. And so even with all these hurdles, the medicine is proof. It does help.
Yeah.
And that's what goes back to like, how do we do more? By finding ways to alleviate those problems that people are running into. Stop stigmatizing men, minority men, for getting help, right?
Especially that's going to be another episode.
Yeah.
The men minority episodes. Yeah. So,
and especially with that whole, this is kind of related, but not really, that whole thing last summer where like women were like, I'd rather be in a room with a bear than a man I don't know. And I'm like, well, that makes men feel terrible. Like, you're really that much more terrified of us? Stop attaching stigmas to every man, just like we're not supposed to attach, bad stigmas to women. Don't do it to men, because now we see that and we're like, oh, well, they're afraid of us anyway. So if I talk to her about how I'm getting therapy, then she's really going to think I'm crazy.
Right. Yeah, exactly. They'll think you're crazy because you're going to therapy.
Society needs to stop stigmatizing those things. And that's one way to start.
Yeah. And also, like we were saying, the treatments work, but when you're a minority or, in a lower income, like there's not much access to the care, so increasing access to care is another thing. I think
now with the VA department of VA getting smaller and smaller and smaller federally, it's making it even harder and harder and harder to get anything done.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
Well, I could talk about basically and how that working. Because now I'm seeing that firsthand. So when I got out of the service, I was diagnosed with a couple of things: an anxiety disorder regarding with functionality, not as much as yours, severe depression, and aggressive mood disorder.
Mm.
So literally, I was the first one, that fight or flight response. Yeah, I'm gonna get out of this situation. I ain't running nowhere. I'm going through you. So that's,
right.
That's how I was raised. That's it. And then, military helped kind of reinforce that.
Yeah.
So like seeking help when I got out wasn't on my agenda. Because initially at first, going back to what a little bit earlier, where we said, my priorities was, hey, my daughter, I got to get, money got to come in, bills got to get paid, stuff got to get done, Then on that time is I can't take a sick day. I can't take time.
I'm like that now. I'm a teacher. I can't take a sick day. The kids like lose more than they learn. If you miss one day, they lose like a month of learning. So somehow
you don't even think about it that nature. Yeah, just give me the pills. I'll keep pushing. You know what I'm saying? So initially, that's
speaking of
how to go through that way. While you're scrolling on that one.
But those pills weren't effective.
Yeah, some of the stuff in the military to give some of the stuff.
Because they give you like the bargain brand stuff that they can get on bulk. Like when we went overseas for Afghanistan, they were giving us doxycycline, which is like an antibiotic, but it's like the lowest of the antibiotics, and they can get it on bulk. So you have to take it like every single day that you're there for the entire year. In Afghanistan, but meanwhile, if they got the better antibiotic, you would only need to take like one every 3 months.
What was the thing for the mosquitoes they gave you?
That's doxycycline.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Too big. I mean, the biggest bottles you've ever seen.
Orange bottles.
The biggest bottles you ever seen. What? You gotta take one every
single day.
Every day. Oh, my.
But we know that there's other medicine. Yes, but this is what the government gets. You get the bottom barrel stuff. Which is kind of the argument against just when everything is provided for you. You may get good.
Oh, they'll treat
get medicine.
They'll treat you. They'll treat you.
But it's not the best stuff.
Yeah. They'll treat you or they'll overtreat you. Okay, let's talk about this a little bit. So, getting out of the service, taking all the medicines, doing what I had to do, whatever. High blood pressure. Let's just talk about that. Being a minority, very frequent for us to get high blood pressure. So initially, I used to get headaches. Tylenol wasn't doing it. Went in there. They're like, I'll take these pills. These pills worked great. I love those pills. I take them periodically over time. Don't take them every day because it wasn't recommended to take them every day. Then I ran out when I got out of the service.
Make sure you take that.
Then I kept the bottle. So I kept the bottle. And then I walked into the civilian doctor and I was like, hey, man, these shits work. And I'll just call it what it is. I want these again. And he's like, do you suffer from epilepsy? And I was like, what are you talking to me about? He was like, yeah, this is to help stop seizures. I was like, wow, I don't want to take this medicine.
Not what I had.
I don't want to take this at all.
I know
So,
like, resemble that.
So don't get me wrong. They'll treat it. When you're in the service, they'll treat what needs to get done to give you, like, you know, what is it? They were in the NFL, and you find out the guys were like doing coke, even though they broke a bone to get back out there.
Right.
And that was back in the 70s. They'd do whatever. So, you know, I'm not saying they were giving us coke, but borderline, they'll give you stuff to make sure you get the job done.
Yeah.
You know, shut up. Here you go. Have a nice day. Have a good one. Make sure you get it done.
But get back to your point with after you were discharged from the military, and they gave you the different diagnosis, and you said they gave you the pills, whatever, but they weren't effective, right? So what happened next? Like, how did you progress from there? How did you?
Be honest, the realization hits you, because you know it gets to a certain point where you do hit a wall. That wall of, you know, I say my purpose with my daughter and stuff. I keep pushing, and it's sad to say, but then you know when that other substances come into play, and you're like, but I can't be like that. You know, my trick was like, I'm gonna call it what it is. I can't be an alcoholic. I grew up with heavy drinkers in my family. I can't be that when my daughter comes to me stumbling inside, wants to play with dad. You know, I can't be spending my money on the not so good stuff. If we want to go down that line, you know, people, you know, but because I don't want to be that addict.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
So what did you do?
So in this, you seek help.
Yeah.
You know, I literally, because you don't want to be in your own head.
Yeah.
That's the fun. You sit down, the TV's off. You know, you take shoes and I'm like, I ain't got nothing to do today.
Nope. You better go find something.
And then you're just like, I can't be here. I can't be by myself. That's the issue. You know, where you go from a place where young, free, you know, do whatever because you don't care. You know, nothing's flowing in there. You know what I'm saying? And then you go through this extreme structured process. And then you cut off, and then you're back into that free. And you're sitting there like, I don't have anything to do. Because then you start guessing. Do I belong? Should I go somewhere else? Should I do this? Is this where I need to be? Once you start questioning, you can't. That's why I realized that too. And then, you know, getting that help. Not just saying, no one ever has the answers themselves.
Yeah.
You know, when you come, I'm not saying, you know, your unit was your village, but it was.
Yeah.
But you dealt with it differently in the service. You know, everyone has
interacted very
differently. But then you come out, you know, let's say, you know, we're talking about people across the nation. You know, I'm in New York. I'm not going to walk down and meet my friend who lives in Wisconsin every day. I'd hit him up. You know, we chat now and then.
Yeah. So,
you know,
yeah.
But initially, that's how it is. You know, when you have.
You rely on your brothers.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you know, I'm lifelong friends.
Yeah.
And what kind of got, when I really started I needed help, sorry to hit back on the topic, is you lose more people back.
I'm sorry?
You lose more people here.
Yeah, right. The numbers were saying that,
He was talking about it too. I lost more people home. And then it made me question, like, then you sit down and you're like, they're going about, why am I still here?
Yeah.
You don't want to reiterate that.
Yeah. So you reached out to the people that were on your unit for support?
You reach out to create that balance. Hey, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you know, like some people, like, I got an outlet. I talk to my wife a little bit, stuff like that. Yeah, you talk to your wife, and I'm be very honest with you. There's some pages you want to open with the wife, and some pages you don't want to open. I'm just keep it a buck there. Okay.
Yeah.
There's some things you can let them know, and some things I'm not saying trying to hide, but they can't fathom what happens, because people are like, oh, that's how it is in real life. Well, you're okay.
Or you have to worry about it when people are going to think about you after the fact. You let them see what happened, let them know what kind of experience you did have.
Or they can always do, is you okay? I'm just sitting down. Are you okay? What's going on?
Yes, I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm fine. But it's just like, it is serious, but not that serious. I just need you when I need you. So that's what I had to iterate to my wife, and she understands that now. And then she also, she talked to me, and then, I had to get, I got help. I, unfortunately had to put myself on that 6-month wait list.
Oh, with the VA?
Yeah.
Okay. So what does the VA actually provide for you? How do they help?
First they had to be like, oh, well, go to here. Okay, it looks like you might have some problems. Go to this person to be evaluated. Oh, this person, you really might have some problems. Now they sent you back here. Now this is all probably a 1.5 time span.
Yeah, sending you on a rat race.
Okay, now you got something.
You accomplish more just by screaming into the void than you do going through the different VA doctors.
And then they're like, all right, now we're going to give you the actual medicine that works. And now we're going to sit with you and have you have regular appointments. And now you're able to see someone. And then it's like, hey, okay, so I'm able to see. So how often can you see someone? Oh, 8 months every year. You're like, what? Well, we know something's wrong, but it's not that serious. So you don't need to see someone weekly. But
so they're telling you what they think.
Yeah.
Instead of, okay.
And you're just like, yo, listen, I need help. And then legitimately, you're like, what can pretty much people say, it's like, what I got to do? I got to stand on the table and dance.
Right.
Mm-hmm. When I'm really coming here, my arm's cut off and bleeding, would you tell me to slap the Band-Aid and call it a pretty day?
I mean, that's sick.
We understand you're hurt. So here you go. Come back if it gets worse. I'm like, but if I
come back if it gets worse.
If it gets worse, how am I going to come back?
Right.
You hit that wall. And unfortunately, if you want to get deeper, certain veterans hit that wall and they're told that and they're like, I don't want to come back. And then when they don't want to come back, where is it? If you ain't got no place to turn, where do you turn?
Yeah, right. Why would you want to come back if it seems like the people that you're asking for help don't care?
So the main thing here is like, not that, yes, the VA is alternative because it's just not, like you said, you need recognition on the front that, it does work. It does help. But waiting 6 months for help isn't going to help you.
Yeah.
Then proving that you need help isn't going to help you. If you cut that time to 3 months and 6 months, it's more feasible.
Yeah.
Just by half of it. Noel read you the numbers. But initially, the fact of just having someone there constantly, it'll help balance civilian life. Because some people, I went to the service because my family hated me and I had nowhere else to go. So when you think they get out, where are they going to come back to? Especially if they have to get forced out for some reason.
And then you get some idiot who's like, well, what person should just stay in? It's not easy to stay in. So just keep your mouth closed. Maybe try being a little more empathetic.
Yeah, and have some empathy. Yeah.
I guarantee somebody listening is going to be like, they should have just stayed.
Right. Where's the empathy for our veterans, man? Where is it? After all you guys put in for us, to protect us, come on, man.
It exists if it gets me likes. It exists if it gets me votes. But after that, those things are accomplished, it doesn't exist.
You can get forced out for the craziest reason.
Yeah, man. We got to do better, man. We got to do better. We got to support our troops. We got to support our veterans, man. But I'm coming down to the last couple questions for you guys.
Okay.
He said we're boring.
No, it's fine.
No, you guys are not boring. This stuff is deep, man. I'm telling you. But what gives you guys hope?
I don't know. We're living in a very challenging time right now.
That's a great question.
So what do you guys hold on to, to give you guys hope to get through life?
For me, it's my students.
Yeah.
For the most part. Hopefully they never hear me say that because they're like, you love us. I'm like, no, but it's like, you got to educate the next generation about the things that have happened. That's why I teach social studies. It's not brainwashing. It's just history. It happened. I'm teaching them what happened. It's up to them to interpret however they want to. But what gives me hope is that, I'm doing the best I can so that the next generation will learn from our mistakes as us and definitely the people older than us are making a lot of mistakes.
Yeah. Matt, what gives you hope?
Seeing that, the people that are around me can understand, not touching their lives, but letting them understand and not the struggle. I'm not saying everybody needs to know my plight on existence, what's going on. But initially just having them aware, of this, hope that as a country, we should be able to do better. Hope is understanding, for me, what I hold on to is making a change that can affect others. Whether I just send someone talking to me for 5 minutes, maybe my story might change the way they view something. Maybe I'll talk to somebody about plants and they go grow some eggplant in their garden. I don't know. But, just realizing I don't have to make an immediate change to affect hope on a general scale. If I cook you a burger and you like the way my burger tastes, and then you're like, you know what? I bet I can make a better burger. If that drives you, I'm happy I did that.
Okay. All right.
Get what I'm saying? Like, that's how I look at hope.
Okay.
Hope for me is not always reaching for that extra thing to pull you up from your straps.
Yeah.
For me, hope is knowing that my presence is enough to shed my light, as I say, to shine on some others.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that to me would be a blessing. So as my daughter, I hope she shines a lot because I'm putting a lot of effort into her. If we want,
yeah. But, I know that's right.
But initially, I look at hope as that. If I don't need to change everything in everybody's life. I don't need to touch everybody. I don't need to go everywhere to do everything. You know what I'm saying? In my small village, on my small friends, if, hey, I did this one thing and thought it was cool and you're going to think about it and it can make your life better. I'm happy about that. That makes me happy.
Yeah.
That's my,
that's awesome.
Period.
Yeah. Now I'm going to go to this is going to be our last question for both of you guys. What would you say to someone who's struggling right now? They may be a veteran, maybe they're not, maybe they are. But what would you say to someone that's struggling through life right now? Maybe they're transitioning back into, civilian life, and they're looking for hope. What would you say to those guys?
It's okay to not be okay. That's the first thing I would say. A lot of people think that because they're not okay, that something's wrong with them, but it's not. You're just going through a hard path. It's okay for you to not be okay. There's always help, and you should always seek help. And there's nothing wrong with seeking help. What is wrong is not seeking help and letting yourself self-destruct. There's lots of different resources. There are resources out there, both VA and outside VA resources that people could use. And, the numbers that we mentioned here and that I didn't get to mention yet, show that the help works. If your problem is, cognitive, mental, there's the therapy out there that has been given works. If you're homeless, there are programs in the VA and outside the VA that, have shown to be very successful getting you a place to live. Around 44% of people, get healthcare services outside of the VA. So if you don't like the VA, there are places outside of the VA that can give you help. There's your crisis support lines. If you feel you don't have somebody to talk to, call one of those crisis lines. There's literally someone there for you to talk to. And it's, I don't know if with the shutdown it's open, but there's supposed to be somebody there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And it all works. All the different treatments work. So go out there and find that help that you need, whatever that help is, because it's proven and the numbers show and the science shows that it works.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Matt?
So what I would leave with is, like, I was saying, it's okay to feel not okay. Same thing, a lot of topics right there. But initially, there's free community clinics, free community outreach programs. You just one Google away. If you don't have access to, internet when you come out, or, phones or whatever, because, that's life. Things happen. Some people have cost to the wind. If you go, every hospital has like a pamphlet and packets they can hand you for free outreach ones and tell you which one's your local area if you get there. What I told my daughter this, it takes 5 minutes. You never know what someone's going to. Or it could take 2 minutes. It takes 5 minutes. 5 minutes. 5 minutes out of your day to make someone else better. Whether it's just listening and not saying a word, responding to them. I'm not saying you got to give everybody, you got to give you guys the last 10 cents to your name to make them happy, but just hear the guy out. Listen. Maybe you can offer the resource. Remember, like I was saying, shed that light. You know what I'm saying? There's different experiences. Everyone has different experiences. 5 minutes out of your day can significantly change another.
Thank you guys. I really appreciate you guys coming on here and opening up, being vulnerable, and because we call this a brave space. So thank you guys for being courageous, being brave, and really tackling these tough issues. So I appreciate you guys. And so this has been another episode of Voices of Hope. I'm Omar Kenyatta Clark. Until next time, let's rise. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Voices of Hope. Your time and attention mean the world, and we hope today's conversation has inspired and encouraged you. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe so you never miss a moment of hope. We're all part of this community, and your voice matters. If you're ready to share your own story of resilience and become a voice of hope, reach out to me directly at omarkenyattaclark@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you. And of course, stay tuned for our next episode. We've got more powerful stories and inspiring voices coming your way, and I can't wait for you to be a part of it. Until then, remember, we rise together.